Welcome to the razor butterfly. So I'm not gonna be cutting into this. I'm gonna do the entire haircut and then revisit the lengths and see how they tie in, and that's what makes this butterfly cut unique. So I'm gonna braid away these two sections, and this is gonna drop down and be lower. If you have a thicker, if their hair is thicker underneath, you'll have less hair here, right? Because you really just wanna have the amount of thickness in the ends that will kind of like change or add to the lengths and the overall perimeter after the cut has been done. So this section, to reiterate, will be smaller if they have thicker hair underneath here, but the majority of Casey's hair lives on top of her head. So you're gonna establish the shortest layer, and then you're gonna establish what you want the perimeter to be and where you want that to fall, and then everything's gonna flow off of that. Now the reason I'm excited to do the razor version of this cut for Casey is because her hair is so heavy, she's gonna need a little bit more texture, a little bit more channel cutting and separation. She's gonna need to really open up and unlock her hair. And sometimes the traditional butterfly cut, or basically it's just a round layer, especially done with scissors and cut blunt, can be extremely heavy. And so when it bounces up, the short hair pushes the long hair to where we want it to go, and then the short to long here kind of pushes it away there too. But I think sometimes it's really important because you wanna, I'm thinking about the density, moving my razor and changing the angle based on how much I wanna dig and how much of that hair I need to lighten up. Because the next section that I bring down, as this continues further and further back, this is going to be where the lengths of her hairs are. If you take a little bit of a horizontal section over her ear, it's a great way to give yourself a guide before you go in with the rest of your cut. If you've been cutting hair for a long time and you feel really confident that you're able to match A to B without having to go through each section, then go for it. She's got this beautiful like butterfly effect happening there, and now we've got our last little corner right here to tend to, and the front is always going to take the longest because that's, like I said, the majority of the haircut. Then we're going to move on to the crown, and lastly, this. So after I'm going to take my little crown section piece, I'm over directing this all of the way forward, preserving as much hair as possible. And like I said, when in doubt, you can always over direct it down to see where it lives, because this hair is going to live much longer. So I'm going to bring it all the way down, see where it lives, visually think about where I want to cut. Then when I over direct it forward and I'm cutting it slightly longer than the previous hair, it's like one hair belongs on the other side. So bringing it forward, coming in, opening up my blade. Instead of taking the weight out and then establishing the lengths, I'm doing the opposite. So that way she doesn't feel like she has a ton of hair on one side and not as much hair on the other. I like those clips tight. And she's gonna have a little bit of wave kind of in there, so I'm gonna just lighten it up with a little bit of water. And I'm gonna focus all of my attention here and act like I'm completing the entire haircut here through this hair. It's great when, you know, the magazines pick it up and go, this is the look of 2023 or 2024 if you're watching this later. And to me, it just kind of says there's a lot of layers in the front, a lot less layers in the back, but it all needs to flow together. So that's why I'm bringing everything forward and establishing there's going to be layers in the back, but essentially you're letting all of that weight drop down. I'm thinking about her density. Find the right, you know, wet to dry ratio that you want. Comb, comb, comb. There's not much to cut. Just giving it like a very textured effect because they're a little bit longer than the layers that sit on top of them, so they'll have like their own cool situation. Cut it again so that you're just kind of like finessing, 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 dialing, 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 looking at it from all different angles. Long hair, I felt a little bit uninspired by doing long layers all the time, but there's so many different ways to create shape and texture within long hair. It's like a fine wine. So there she is. Case, go ahead and stand up. Let's give the people a little after.